You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Genier and his satanic assistant, Alex Montini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
And welcome to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. And it's amazing because I was just about going to say, and joining me tonight is Dr. Demon Gord Westwater. Wait a sec, Alex is back.
Man, that's passe.
Alex is back.
I am back.
And you know, it's funny. You have a little bit of a British accent in there. I think you've picked it up.
I think I might have.
An Italian with a British accent.
Yeah, that's even better.
So you're. So
I swear with my hands, and I talk like a British guy.
Yeah. How do you do that with your hands?
Oh, well, I can't show you. I don't have a camera here.
Well, I know, but I mean, like, how do you do it? I mean, how did you communicate with them?
Oh, I can't give away all my secrets. Come on.
So you spent the last week in the UK. How are things there? You visited.
Highgate
place,
Cemetery.
Yeah, Highgate Cemetery, man. Yeah. I'm envious.
I know.
I'm envious.
It was a great experience. I loved it.
Yeah. So was
something I've been wanting to do for a while. Like go to England in general is something I've been wanting to do for a while now.
Yeah.
Highgate was just a bonus, so to speak, because that was relatively recent in terms of, how long I've been wanting to go there.
Mm-hmm.
So, having gotten to know about Highgate and all the history there, I figured, you know what, we're going there. It's in London. We're going to be in London. So our friends who we met up with there took us for a drive there, and we went for a tour, and it was great.
And was the Highgate Cemetery what you expected? What you were expecting?
Definitely.
Yeah?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was really cool. I mean, a lot of the old, the pictures I took don't really do it justice.
Of course not.
It was a pretty big cemetery. I mean, there's two sections to it. There's the east and west, right? We went obviously to the old part, and as I told you before the show, the tour guide mentioned someone who had gotten arrested back in the 70s at the cemetery, and obviously both you and I know who that is, right? And I mentioned the name, and he was kind of surprised that I knew who it was, right? So yeah, I kind of caught him off guard there, and he's thinking, what the hell do these two Canadian guys or this Canadian guy know about the individual and all that stuff? It's like, well, we kind of know about this stuff.
It's too bad he's no longer with us.
I know.
And it would. I
was kind of hoping that I would meet up with him, but unfortunately we couldn't.
Yeah, it's really too bad, and I know you were looking forward to that. So, it's sad, but at least you got to see the cemetery and the sites of the surrounding. What were you pretty much in London? Where were you staying?
We were staying in Wembley.
Okay,
which is in London.
Yeah.
It's in London. It's northeast London.
Yeah.
It's right, literally, like minutes away. Like we could see Wembley Stadium from our hotel room. Mm-hmm. So we were there. We're close to a tube station. You know, to quote how the British say it.
It's not subway. It's not a tram. It's a tube.
Exactly. Yeah. And Redmond's just on. Hey, Redmond, I chatted with him a little bit when I was there. I was hoping to meet up with him, but we just didn't have enough time. I mean, even Patsy Sorrenti, who's from there, she wanted us to go see a ghost walk that she was doing on Friday night, but unfortunately, it would have taken us over an hour to drive out there, mm-hmm. and it was at 9 o'clock, and we had to wake up early the next day to catch the flight, so we couldn't go out there. Yeah. It was kind of a shame. I mean, it was bad timing, but nonetheless, I chatted with her as well, and another friend I knew who lived there as well.
Yeah, I mean, a week. It's not really a lot of time.
It's not, no.
You know, especially when you're going over there. I mean, right. the history. There's so much history, and there's so many places that. Like, where else did you visit? I noticed you visited the London Tower.
Yeah, we went to Tower London, the Tower Bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did that. We basically took the first day, like the first weekday, the Monday and the Tuesday, we took the tour bus.
Okay.
That went around central London and, the key points.
Yeah.
We even went, here's the funny thing, we went to Whitechapel. You know what Whitechapel is, obviously, right? Mm-hmm. Because I wanted to go see it, obviously. I wanted to go to Whitechapel and see, the infamous Whitechapel and
Jack
the Ripper stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we got out of the subway station, not even 5 minutes into it, my wife goes, "No, I don't like this place. Let's get out of here." So we had to go back. And we left. So I didn't even get the chance. And then, ironically enough, that same night when we were back at the hotel room, we turned the TV on and they did a show on Jack the Ripper.
Okay.
So we were watching it and we saw where one of the murders took place, and it was literally a block away from where we were.
Really?
And I'm like, see, I go, look, we could have been there. We could have gone and seen the place, one of the places where, a victim was murdered by Jack the Ripper. And she goes, no, I didn't like that place. I'm like, all right, fine. That was pretty cool, though. I mean, we got to see quite a bit.
Well, that's good. That's good. That's really good that you had a good time. And it's like I said, it's too bad you didn't have enough time. But hey, at least you got to experience some of the stuff. And you know what? Maybe another time, obviously, you'll be able to spend more time there. So,
for sure.
Awesome. Well, it's good to have you back. And, I'm looking forward to tonight's show, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a good show.
I'm looking forward to tonight's show. Our guest this evening is Reverend Tim Shaw, who some of you know, maybe many of you know. We're talking somebody who is well-versed in the paranormal and other things. He's a psychic medium, an author, a speaker, and investigator of the paranormal, and collector of haunted and unusual objects. Now, that's what intrigues me. Like, I want to know more about the objects, you know what I mean? Like, you always hear about people who collect these unusual objects. Like, we're talking about original objects and bad things that happen, supposedly.
Yeah.
I mean, how many times have you gone to an antique store and bought something that looked really unusual? You brought it home and something weird happens.
That happens to me every time.
Well, we know that, but I mean, you got to go with it.
Sorry, that's just when I have the burritos.
Yeah, the burritos. And by the way, did you find a good place over there?
You know what? I only saw one bloody Mexican restaurant there.
What?
Mind you, I didn't get
Only
the chance
one.
to scour all of London, mind you, but when we went around where we went, I came across a Chipotle. That's it.
You came across a Chipotle.
Surprisingly enough,
but that's a chain. Who cares, man?
There's a lot of Italian restaurants, surprisingly enough.
Well, of course. Yeah. Of course, man. Of course. Yeah. Why wouldn't there be? I mean, you're close. You're not that. I mean, you run over to Heathrow and you're like literally an hour flight, if anything, to Italy, right?
It's about an hour or two flight.
Yeah.
Or 2 hours, depending where in Italy you're going.
You're basically an hour from anywhere. I mean, it's a hub for Europe.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Anyways, for more information on Tim, on our guest this evening, go visit his website at www.timothyshaw.com. And you know what? We're going to take a short break. If you want to follow us on Instagram, it's Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Twitter, Dark Discussions. Facebook, www.facebook.com/Nocturnal Frequency Radio. Easy enough. Go to it. And, I want to keep saying the BBM, but of course that's no longer. I keep saying that.
Nope.
I don't know. It's routine.
Dead in the water.
It's dead in the water. Anyways, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, our guest is Reverend Timothy Shaw. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, live here exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. And if you tuned into the first little bit, Alex found his way home. Welcome back, Alex.
Thank you.
And the poor guy he's no more educated in European burritos. What? I don't know.
I ran out of luck.
I think the listeners are a little disappointed about that.
I know. I apologize. Couldn't find any reputable. Well, Chipotle was kind of reputable, but didn't have a chance to go in there.
But it's not the same, man. It's like a chain.
I know.
Right? It's a chain.
Well, that's just it, right?
You like to walk into these well, I don't want to say mom and pop shops, but these independent places that
Well, hey, we're a heck of a lot closer to Mexico than London is, so.
Well, yeah, but still, come on. Maybe you should move over there and open one up.
Hey, there you go.
There you go.
Mom and pop shop of burritos by an Italian guy. Sounds good.
There you go, man. There you go. You could have the Italian burrito.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the Italian burrito. Anyways, let's not. I don't want to waste any more time. I want to bring our guest in. Tim, how are you?
Hey, guys. Thank you for inviting me on. I'm doing great. I mean, listen. I've been in a lot of places where other nationalities have crossed over and have done fantastic Italian food and New York style deli sandwiches and stuff, and it's all passable. It's all passable. So, but you're talking to a guy that did survival training and ate fried maggots.
Fried maggots.
Anything with hot sauce will taste good. They actually taste like almonds. Once they're fried up, they actually do. They crunch and they taste just like almonds. By the way, just to let you know.
Come on, throw a little bit of those Carolina Reapers in there, and yummy. Hot
protein,
almonds.
Baby.
Yeah. Well,
always carry a bottle of hot sauce with you because you can eat anything with hot sauce.
Oh,
believe
tell
me.
me about it. Tell me. Well, I don't know, Alex. Is that true?
Well, you can. It's just the after effects that matter.
Well, yeah. Well. So how you doing, Tim? I'm super excited, super glad to have you on the show. Finally, it's been a long time, and you're just south of us.
Yeah, I'm not that far away from you guys. I'm in just outside of Buffalo, New York.
Yeah.
I'm like right where I am. I'm exactly 22 minutes away from the Peace Bridge. So
yeah.
I mean, it's it's a hop, skip, and a jump for me.
Yeah, I'm just like what, I don't know, 45-minute drive to the Lewiston Bridge.
Oh yeah. Queenston, Lewiston.
Yeah.
I've crossed them all. Usually after a night of debauchery down at the ballet places, but that's another story for another time.
Oh, the good old ballet. The good old ballet. Yeah, I'll be in Lewiston actually this coming week. I'll be in Lewiston.
Awesome.
Nice little town.
It's very nice. I know it because I was a volunteer up at Old Fort Niagara for a number of years.
Oh, really?
So a lot of times when we had VIPs come in, representatives from France and the embassy and stuff, we used to take them to a lot of the restaurants in Lewiston and chaperone their wives as they shopped in some of the little quaint shops up on the main street. So, and there's a great spa there. So there's all sorts of things. It's just a beautiful place.
That's where I'm staying, the Niagara Spa. Look at that, it's shameless. I'm telling you, promo. But there you go. Anyway. So how are you doing? You know what? Let's get everyone caught up with Tim Shaw. you know, you like I look at your website, and like I said, I've looked it over. I don't know how many times. I know we've got a lot of mutual friends that I've you know, they talk about Tim. They say, hey, he's a great guy. He does a lot of stuff. He does this. And I said, you know what? I gotta have him on the show. And finally, but where did it all begin for you when it comes? Well, let's just say, as in the paranormal. What drove you to the paranormal?
Well, the paranormal was a natural offshoot of my own original religion.
Okay.
Which I shouldn't say original religion, because I was brought up Roman Catholic, but at the same time, my father's side, we've had spiritualists in the family since the Golden Age, the 1880s.
Yeah.
So up here we have a little place called Lilydale, which is a spiritualist enclave. And so we would go and visit relatives up there. So I think it was like 1972 when I really first was really introduced to spiritualism. And actually, the only reason I was introduced to it because during the season myself and some of the kids out there, we'd be riding our bicycles into Lake Taurus and off the docks into the lake and all this stuff causing havoc. So on Sunday mornings, my parents like signed me up for Lyceum, which is like the spiritualist Sunday school.
Yeah.
And it was awesome. It was awesome. The stuff that I learned in there compared to the way that I was taught Catholicism was amazing, and that really stuck. And it just gave me this great interest in it. And I think I attended my first, they have children's seances there, which are done in the full light. And so kids, and what it is to get kids used to physical phenomena and stuff that goes bump in the night. And I think, I don't know, about 10 or 11 years old, somewhere around there. And it just hooked me right up. And I really jumped into it, and I got serious about it. Now, again, I mean, I got married in '82, and I think I got really serious into spiritualism, where I was like hardcore into it, and took some really great training with some great people. And I think I was right around '85, and just kind of morphed into paranormal. And I was taught the old ways, you know. I was taught, like, you know, the compasses and finding the cold spots and reading the energy and what's it feel like. And I was
getting the
I was brought along for a. Oh yeah, man, that's all the. I mean, we're talking the old Hans Holzer stuff, you know.
The grassroots, grassroots of it all.
Well, and it was great, And you know what? I'm glad that I was taught that way. I was taught not to use any kind of tools. Then I was taught to use just the basic tools. And it's wonderful. And then, you know, I'm like everybody else. When Ghost Hunters came on the air, I was enthralled, because finally it was like a group of people that were like interested in the same stuff that I was. And they started bringing up, I'll tell you what, I still remember meeting Jason and Grant. They were down there for a lecture.
Yeah.
And I shook their hands. I said, Jesus, you know, I got to tell you what. I said, since Ghost Hunters came on there, I mean, all of the spiritualist churches, almost, I would say the majority of them, started getting a more of an influx of people, younger people coming in because of that, because people were seeking. And I mean, I thanked them. I really did. I thanked them. And, you know, they were just like kind of shocked that, you know, that I would say something like that. And when I run into Jason every so often, I run into everybody at these conferences, and Jason came up one time and he just gave me a big hug. He says, "You're the dude from Lilydale. I remember you really gave us a great compliment." So, and everybody used to say how bad Jason was, but I think Jason was one of the nicest guys to me. So I got nothing bad to say about him.
Well, I think, you know, it's, again, it has to do with, you know, they're on TV and, you know, all the drama that goes with it. Well, we'll look at the paranormal period. I mean, there's so much drama going on there. It's hard to decipher what's true and what's not, right? It's ridiculous sometimes.
Exactly. Well, people have to realize something. That what you see on TV is entertainment.
Absolutely.
And for the most part, the participants, the people that are on TV, they're not really. A couple of them will. You know, I'm not going to mention any names, but a couple of them have been caught. And having done several pilots myself, I know that production companies employ psychologists, and these psychologists tell like the director and whoever's running the cameras now how to put us in certain situations that elicit a response. And how they edit it out. I mean, I was on a show once. I was on this one. We won't talk about where it was, but we were all sitting there, and one of the cast members slammed the door. Well, we all jumped and looked. Well, when I saw the daily, and then it had sound, and of course the cast member goes, or the crew member goes, "Oh, hey guys, I'm sorry that I closed the door," and but then when I saw the completed program, you see all of us sitting there, and all of a sudden we all jump, but the audio is gone. Yeah, they have a big bang, and they have the ominous music going on, and I mean, it's entertainment. You got to look at it like that. It's entertainment. And I won't even say there's a fine line between true paranormal investigations and entertainment. It's a chasm, man. It's like the Niagara River, in between the two. It is. I mean, seriously. I mean, because they have to wrap something up, and they have to make it put in like each episode is like 26 minutes or 24 minutes, and they gotta cram 3 to 4 days worth investigations into that. So they're only going to get the stuff that pops, and if nothing happens, they're going to find different ways to make it pop. So Absolutely. Yeah, you got to kind of watch that, but but that's that's sort of like buyer beware. That leaves, I always tell like people in my classes, or if I'm lecturing on it someplace, or even in the churches, listen guys, what you see on TV isn't necessarily the truth, and that's what we're supposed to be as truth seekers. What TV does is spark the imagination of the viewers, and the viewers, and it's up to the viewers to actually do the extra work into it and kind of look into it and see what's real and what's not real. But I actually, I won't lie, I watch it because I love reality TV because I can point out the stuff that, of course, that is like set up. But I just love the fact that people really get into it. And I think if we can spark somebody's imagination, I think that's, get them to think a little bit. I think that we've accomplished what we're supposed to be doing.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, that's what I've been saying for eons. And, when I go into the schools and I, talk to the kids about it, same thing. Because they're always interested. Oh, well, I watch Ghost Hunters, or I watch this, that the other night, and, is it true? And you kind of, you don't want to burst their bubble, but you want to sort of give them a medium ground and say, look, but this is, what you're seeing is you're not seeing the 3 or 4 hours that's edited out, or, let me tell you, when you actually investigate, it's totally different. Totally different.
Exactly. Exactly.
You have to have a lot of patience.
Yes. Let's face it. As an investigator, if I am not doing, they don't bring me in as a as a psychic to do the walkthrough or whatever, which I like because I do a walkthrough, I record it, I give whoever's the team leader my the SD card, then I drive home and I'm in bed by midnight. I'm not out till like 5 a.m. But if I'm out there and I'm using modern stuff, I mean, you can sit in a room for 2 hours and not get a damn thing. No. And I always tell people, listen, you're going to sit in a room and you're going to talk to yourself. Mm-hmm. That is what it is. It's all patience. You have to have, and I'll be honest with you, you have to have more patience in paranormal investigations than you do hunting. Yeah. You really, truly do. Absolutely. Because, because you don't know what's going on. And if you get a dead night, oh my God, it's like the longest night of the world. Or if you got a group and the group is either eaten just before they've gone on the investigation, or they haven't eaten at all, you've got all sorts of bodily functions and pings and pangs and growls and stuff, and people passing gas, and there's all sorts of stuff going on. Oh yeah. And you really you really have to sort all that out at the very end.
It's funny when you say that, you get all sorts of little, pins and pans and all that kind of stuff going on. I remember this time that we went to a museum down in Lovejoy, and I'm sure you're familiar with that one.
Oh yeah. I'm like 5 minutes away from there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we went down there and we made the mistake of hitting a Taco Bell before going there. Okay. You know, so we're in the basement. We're doing this EVP session, and oh my God, it was the worst experience ever.
Who really
I got
got
one
scared
that tops
that night?
that.
Listen, okay. I gotta hear this.
I got one that tops that.
Okay.
Let me tell you this one. I've been to Waverly Tuberculosis Hospital 4 times.
Myself
and
too.
3 of those. Oh man, it's a great place.
I love it.
I'm up there on one of them. You know, we're staying at this hotel, great hotel, and across the street is this unbelievable steakhouse. It had bison and it had all sorts of exotic meats and stuff, and really good food. Well, that's not where everybody wanted to go. Everybody wanted to go to the Hooters. That was like on the way. So we went to the Hooters, and all I'm going to tell you is that food, and God bless those poor girls that are out there wearing the clothes, but that food did not agree with me. And I was walking down the main hall, and we're in a co-ed group, so I don't want to be like gross. It was just guys. I mean, don't walk behind me, guys. But my stomach started flipping, and I said, "Well, I'm just gonna slip." I'm thinking to myself, "I'm gonna slip away." So I slipped away into the pharmacy, and if you're ever in the pharmacy at Waverly, this place is big and it's empty,
Yeah.
So I open the door, I go in there, and it sounded like alien coming out of my body. That's it. I can describe. It was disgusting. It was disgusting. Little did I know that somebody followed me in there.
Oh no.
And, yeah.
We're talking about a real person now, right? We're talking about a real person.
Yes. Yeah. One of the guys in the team, because of Tim Shaw went in there, he must be feeling something. Yeah, I was feeling something all right. So we were on a terrestrial. We were on a terrestrial radio show, and we were all kind of talking about it. And he was on there. He was a host of a show, and he says, "I don't know if you've ever heard this EVP I got." And I said, "Really?" He goes, "Yeah, we were on the first floor." And he goes to the whole thing, and you hear the door like open, and all of a sudden you hear this god awful noise, and then at the very end you hear Reverend Tim passing gas. These tags. It's like, thank you. We're in 5 major markets. Thank you so much for sharing that with all the listeners out there.
Oh, you gotta love it.
But yeah, I mean, that's why I'm very careful. Even when I travel, I'm leaving. I'll be in Little Traverse Bay this weekend, and I'll tell you what, I'm already starting to watch what I'm going to eat, because I think I'm going to do something, and I just don't want that. I just don't want any adverse effects to happen. Besides, I don't want to send anybody to the hospital with burned nasal cavities.
Make sure you avoid the burrito then.
Yeah.
Oh, that you know what? Speaking of Waverly, it's interesting because I think the first time I was there, I think it was like 2006, 2007, just when they purchased it. I think it was roughly
right.
And this is after it went viral. After Keith Age had his little thing going on there and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And going down there, I was a really good friend with somebody who was working for Tina, the owner there, and they invited us. Come on down. So we brought the team down. The funny thing is, I don't know if you've ever experienced this at the border, Tim, when you come up here, but you go to the border, and we went through the Windsor-Detroit border, and. Mm-hmm. And, this big husky guy, Border Patrol, U.S., and I'm telling the guys, we're in line, they're going to pull us over. We got all this equipment, infrared, all this kind of stuff. They're going to pull us over. They're not going to let us in. And these guys have never been in the U.S. ever. I'm the only one who's ever been down there, and I knew, okay, it wasn't going to be a problem, but I just, okay, let's get these guys all set up, And I would hate.
to travel with you. I really would.
Because I've experienced it many times going across, and the sort of attitude they sort of have towards it when you break it to them what you're doing, right? So we got up there, passports, no smile, just very stern. Where you from? Canada. Where you going? Waverly Sanitarium. He looks at us. Where? Waverly Sanitarium. Where's that? Oh, Louisville, Kentucky. Why are you going there? Ghost hunting? Really? Now, the sternness sort of softened up and a little smirk came on his face. And they're like sort of, what? Yeah, we're spending a long weekend ghost hunting at an insane asylum. No, I didn't say that, but I made it, propped it up. Oh, yeah, you get paid for that? Well, I wish I got paid for that. It was all about money. It's like, oh, okay, have fun. See you later. I don't know if you've ever. I don't know. Many times that I've gone over the border, and I've said that. What are you doing? We're going investigating the paranormal. Oh, really? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I like that show. I get in so many conversations with U.S. Customs. But when I come back to Canada, it's like, forget it, man. These guys, there's no joking with the Canadian guys. I don't know what it is.
Well, no, it's funny because I was up there for the, I was in St. Catherine for the Witchcraft and Voodoo Festival. Yeah. So I'm rolling over the bridge going into Canadian customs or the border, and where you headed? I said, listen, I'm a presenter at a conference today up in St. Catherine. He goes, oh, what kind of conference? I said, the Witchcraft and Voodoo Festival. And he got quiet for a couple minutes. He goes, really? I said, yeah. I said, we're going up there. I said, it's kind of fun. I get a chance to go hang out with some pagans and talk and stuff. He looked at me. He goes, that's the coolest thing anybody said to me crossing the border. Yeah. I said, this was great. Coming back, I'm always afraid of coming back because I lived through disco, guys. So coming back over the border, coming back to the United States, back in the the late 70s, early 80s, that used to be a chore. Oh yeah. And I've had my car torn apart a couple times. Yeah. So I'm always like nervous, and I was telling you guys off the air. So I was up there at the conference, and I got a Santa Muerte statue. And Santa Muerte is the bone goddess. She looks like the Grim Reaper. She's got a wedding dress on. She's got the scythe and everything. But she happens to be a folk saint, and she happens to be the patron folk saint of cartels and murderers. And although her image has softened over the last 5-6 years. Yeah. But I'm thinking to myself, well, if they see her, if they find her in the car, they may be thinking that I'm smuggling drugs. And I thought, well, I'm not going to. And all my friends up there are all saying, put her in the trunk, roll her up in the trunk. I said, the trunk is really dirty. She's got a white gown on. I don't want to do that. So I seatbelted her right in the back seat.
Seatbelt. So I love it.
I seatbelted her. Yeah, I could see her in my rearview mirror, as a matter of fact, as I was driving. So I come up to the border and, citizenship, blah, blah, blah. Where were you? I said, I was speaking at a conference. Well, what conference? Right away. And I said, well, the Witchcraft and Voodoo Conference up in St. Catharines. He goes, really? And then he kind of gave me this look. He says, and he's looking in over my shoulder and he sees the statue, which, it's got a skull and it's got the scythe. He goes, do you have anything to declare? I said, yeah, I got the door prize in the back seat. He goes, have a nice day.
Oh, that's hilarious.
All my friends up in Ontario were going, only you, who looks like you, could go across the border and they would just not even give you a second thought. Hilarious. I just think this guy went in and said, you know what, I think when I get home, I'm going to have a couple drinks because these people are just they're just not right today.
Oh, yeah. It's hilarious because, I think people forget, though, when you're crossing over. These guys are people, too. They watch these shows. They love this stuff, too. Yeah. But when you get into conversations like, oh, wow, this is cool, they're totally different.
What's weird was I was up at Sault Ste. Marie at the big Michigan Paracon this year, which was totally out of hand. It was like a who's who of anybody that's ever been involved with paranormal were up there. And it was the 10th anniversary. So this young couple, Canadian couple, come up to me and they said, "Geez, somebody says hello." I said, "Who?" He goes, "Well, I don't really know his name, but he works the border at the bridge." I said, "What?" And he goes, "Yeah, we're coming across." And we told him where we're going. He goes, "Oh, I know Tim Shaw. Tell him I said hi." And I'm thinking to myself, who the hell do I know up at the Gray Bridge? Up that high, going the Port Huron. I still to this day I can't think of who. I thought I did. And I got a hold of him, and he said, "No, that wasn't me." He says, "I wasn't. I'm not up that high." So I said, "Well, hey, just don't mention my name anywhere because you might be in a jail cell in Windsor. Who knows?" but it was just funny that somebody actually recognized the name. So that's weird. That was just weird, but it's kind of like, wow, it's kind of ego, kind of blew my mind there for a while.
Yeah, it's really neat when you sort of hear that. Well, hey, I know that guy. Yeah, he does that. And granted, I mean, most people, when it comes to the paranormal, I mean, it has its well-known figures and everything else, but you never think to yourself, well, hey, I'm one of those guys. Oh, that's cool. I love that. It's neat. It's awesome. Oh God, we're gonna take a break here in about 10 minutes, but we'll continue on. I think in the second half, I really want to get into talking to you about because you collect some very interesting objects.
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
And I definitely want to talk to you about
that. I was just repacking some today and reorganizing them. I'm going to have a show at the end of the month, and I'm actually going to go and I'm going to bring out the majority of my stuff and put it all on display for one night.
Awesome. Locations in and around where you are, is there any favorite places that you like to, I guess, research and continue, like ongoing investigations or anything like that you've researched that just fascinate you?
Well, Hinsdale is always a fascinating location, and the Hinsdale House, I remember it in the local Buffalo newspapers back in the 1970s when the haunting was in full-blown mode, and I got a chance to actually copy everything from Father Alphonsus Trabolt. He was a Jesuit priest, and he was a demonologist, and he did the work up there at the Hinsdale House. But I was able to get into his archives at St. Bonaventure University. He's long gone now. I was able to copy everything that wasn't sealed by the university or the diocese. So it just fascinates me, and I know that there's some new projects that just uncovered some really crazy information that may go and answer some of what powers that haunting up there, because we couldn't, for the longest time, we couldn't figure out what powers it. A lot of us that have worked with negative hauntings, my friend Johnny Zaffis and a couple priests that I've worked with, we couldn't. You always got to look for what powers it. There's something that powers it. It's like it's like the plug that goes in the outlet, and we couldn't figure it out. And this I can't really say. I'm kind of sworn to secrecy on it right now. Yeah. Until the project is finished. But I have to tell you that if this is what I think it is, then we've kind of solved the mystery. Doesn't mean that it diminishes it, but it'll solve the mystery.
Well, let's sort of go into the background a little bit about the house. What exactly happened there?
Well, the house was great. It was owned by the McMahon family, and it was sold. It was the farm was broke up. It's been there for since the late 1800s, and it's an old farmhouse. And when the Dandy family moved into it, and they always wanted a place out in the country, and this place at the time, back in the 70s when they moved in, was isolated. It was like, well, it's almost like it's like an infestation in a possible temporal possession case, where it starts off slowly. Okay. And in this case, it started outside, and you voices and like what they thought was Latin chanting, they was heard, and they saw people walking in the hillock behind them. they saw, Clara talks about a ghost house that she used to see in the field across the way that, you know, had lights on and everything. And she goes, well, I'm going to go visit them in the morning and introduce myself. And in the morning, the house wasn't there. And everything started outside the house, and then it slowly started to come inside the house. And they had apparitions. They had A ports, D ports. They had all sorts of disincarnate voices. Mm-hmm. They actually had like some kind of a creature chase one of the daughters into the house, and in whatever it is went into the house, and she had locked herself in a utility room, and she was so afraid that her eyes actually turned a different color. And wow. I actually asked my eye surgeon about it, and he said, yeah, under great duress, mm-hmm. This can happen. And it comes back, but I mean, especially if you have like green eyes, and they will turn blue. Blue eyes will turn like a greenish hay. Mm. And it's an unbelievable story. And Clara went, and the woman, the mom, actually looked for somebody to help him out. And Father Alphonsus Trevaux came to the house, and he did a mass in the kitchen. But what happens is you got to watch that, because if you do something, a ritual or something of that nature, you can amp the hell out of that house. You can amp the hell out of a case. I mean, it really just blows it right up. Yeah. And I think that happened a little bit, but they used to call it the ghost house, and the amount of activity in there was amazing. And the last occupants of the house, Joe and Flo Michnik, who have now passed on, really nice people. She talks about, up in the master bedroom, looking, taking a nap, looking up, and there's a guy standing at the foot of her bed, and she grabbed probably a 22 that was, they're out in the country. They always had guns around, and she pointed at it and said, "Listen, you get out of here, or I'll blow you away." And this person disappeared, and they feel that it was the ghost of one of the brothers. These two brothers had a fight, and their place was just on the other side of the hill where the house is located, and the one brother killed the other brother. So there's a lot going on there. Plus they brought psychics in, and psychics gave all sorts of crazy stories that, I'll be honest with you, I don't believe it, but I don't believe the impressions that they're talking about. But as a psychic myself, I can only give people what I'm feeling. Yeah. So it may be discombobulated, but it's all a part of the puzzle and the lore of the house. And what's unreal is that almost everybody that has lived in the house or rented the house have had some kind of paranormal experience. Oh, wow. I mean, right across. I mean, they used to see huge silvery orbs in the farm field right across from their house, because they live on it. The house is located on a dead end.
And these are seen with the naked eye, right? These orbs?
Correct. This is all objectively. This is not something that, this is not a Svengoolie thing, This is all objectively through your eyes. And, they're just really nice people. And I have no doubt that they were telling the truth. As a matter of fact, Joe went down to the local American Legion to sign up when they bought the house. And they said to him, "Oh, you live in that haunted house." And he goes, "What?" And he got a hold of the realtor and said, "You didn't tell me the house was haunted." And she goes, "Oh, you don't believe in that stuff, do you?" and they did. They had a lot. They had stuff go on, but it doesn't seem to have been as active. And we believe that the more like teenagers and children you have up at that house on a longer term that live there, we believe that may kind of power into it in some way. And then, of course, you had dowsers out there that located 2 negative ley lines that crossed directly underneath the house. So that could power into it. So there's so many things out there. Like I said, I mean, I was just out there. We were doing a charity for one of the local animal rescues. Mm-hmm. And I stayed overnight, and I'm sleeping in the living room. There was 4 of us, one guy upstairs and 3 of us in the living room. And right next to me, a REM pod went off 5:30 in the morning. I said, "You gotta be kidding." I said it out loud. "Will you leave us alone? Let me sleep till at least 7 o'clock. Jesus Christ, what's wrong with you, And it went off, stopped. It just stopped, So, yeah. And actually, the lady who owned the REM pod, she got up and go, "Oh, sorry, I'm going to shut this off." And we all went back to sleep. And and we didn't have any problems. But I mean, I think I've fallen asleep in just about every haunted location I've ever investigated. And then my friends steal my flashlights, those bastards. They're not gonna find my
flashlight of all things.
Oh yeah, they know. They know it's like I gotta have a flashlight. I can't see nothing without a flashlight. I walk in the walls. I feel like the Helen Keller of paranormal investigators. Because I seriously can't see anything when it's that dark.
Well, quickly before we go to break here, what's your favorite aspect about investigating the paranormal?
Well, you know what? As a kid, we're brought up again through the religion. We're there to give help to the living and those on the other side. Yeah. And that's our main purpose. And I have no, a lot of people go, well, we want to go and we want to know if there's something on the other side. I don't think like that, because I already know there, in my own weird way, I already know there's something on the other side, so I don't have to worry about it. But I'm there because of the fact that I'm just amazed at the different layers of energy in these houses. Yeah. And you can get really benign energy coexisting with some really nasty energy, Yeah. I don't believe in angels and demons and heaven or hell or any of that stuff. I just don't. That's not, my sister Sidonia is holding her chest right now, and some of my Lyceum teachers are going, oh, you don't believe in the Summerland? You fail this class. But I don't believe in any of that. I believe in pure energy, and I believe that the personality of the human being when we pass turns into energy, because we believe thoughts are things. And if things are vibratory in nature, then frequency is how we communicate, and how they can go and they can build, that energy up, that gets strength or whatever. But I mean, if you get a nasty little bastard that really wants to scare you, you get what we call parasitical spirits that live off of that stuff. They just love when they can scare you and they can manipulate you. That's a lower energy. You're gonna, and it's funny because up at Hinsdale, I can get really sweet voices and very, very nice voices, and then I get FUs. And my buddy got why don't you come to me, and why don't you die and come to me? That's what he got on EVP. So you've got a whole plethora. And again, we were talking about doing a Ouija board, session up there, and Zozo came to visit. So I mean, it's what it is. To me, it's just so fascinating that all of these energies can congregate in one area, and depending on the human being there and their physical and mental makeup, their vibration, that's what you kind of get. Yeah. So it's great. I go up there with some people and we get the greatest experiences. I go up there with some people and it's just downright hellacious, and we're getting, you're getting all sorts of negative stuff that's coming through, and yet it's the same place. It's the same place. So you don't know, and that's what fascinates me. Awesome.
We're gonna take a short break here, and when we come back, more with Tim Shaw. Once again, thanks for joining us, Tim. Really, really appreciate it, and having a lot of fun having you on, buddy.
I'm thrilled. I'm like super thrilled that you guys have asked me to be on tonight. I really am, because this is, I love being able to go and do these interviews, because of the fact I remember when I was like doing interviews when I was on the other side of the mic, like you guys are. Yeah. I mean, it's just so it's more fun than it's more fun than work, and people that have never done it, they're missing out. It's just, I love it. And what we all learn together, what we share is like crazy. It's crazy.
Exactly. All right, folks, you're listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere.
You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Rondini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
And welcome back to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. And once again, our guest this evening is Tim Shaw. Again, I want to thank you for coming on. It's been a blast so far, man. I really appreciate it. Well, we really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, you know, this is the fun stuff. I mean, it really is. And what I love is that I love what you guys are doing. I really do, because I did it for so many years on terrestrial radio and CBS, and then, of course, on the internet. And, you know, I just wish more people would really get the bug, because there's so much information out there, and you know, this is the fun of it, the exchange of information. Everybody's got different ways of doing things. Everybody's got different specialties. I mean, it's like a bordello. You know what I mean? You can go to a bordello and find all sorts of craziness and things that you went and you'd say, oh, I never thought of that. And not that I've ever been to a bordello, guys, but it's like, to me, it's like,
are they as good as the ballet?
Yeah, no, the ballets, that's a whole different animal too. But you get a chance to get out there, and you really can exchange information, and that's what I love about it.
Yeah.
And you know, everybody has got an experience that you can learn from. Everybody's got a technique you can learn from. To me, I love that, because I'll be honest with you, I have never come up with anything original. I steal from everybody when it comes to techniques and methodologies and stuff. I do. I won't lie to you. And that goes for, you know, my dealings, you know, with spirit, through mediumship, and through, you know, my methodologies when I do the hardcore paranormal hands on the meter thing.
Well, let me ask you, you know, speaking of mediumship, your approach to, say, going into a location and reading it, if you will. What's your approach? What do you like to do? What are some of the aspects that you include with how you approach a location, for instance?
Well, first thing I do is I'll have my recorder, and if it's a big location, I'll have somebody come with me because I don't want to get lost. But oh no, it's terrible. I mean, hey, you know how easy it is to get lost and turned around in Waverly.
Oh,
so
yeah, I know.
Yeah, you want somebody with you. You know, you want somebody with you, and especially if it's starting to get dark.
Yeah.
But in like a residential or a small area, I'll go in by myself. And before I even walk in there, I first off, I'm not one of these, like, you know, protection guys. I believe that everything, you know, if you live a decent life and, you know, you don't go out of your way to hurt anybody, you don't have to worry about anything, you know. And so I'm not, you know, I don't do the prayer or anything unless somebody, you know, unless a group wants me to do that, and I just feel that they're reinforcing, you know, their own beliefs. But I'll walk in there with a recorder, and I just go from room to room, and I read every single room, where the energy is. I look for the energy first. I feel that the strongest vibration is. Then after I do that, I'll include if I feel any spirit personalities in that room, and I'll put that on the, you know, put all that on the tape, and I'll just go from room to room to room. Usually takes me about, like an average house, maybe an hour, larger house, hour and a half, and it really, for me, it helps. You know, it feels that I can at least help bird dog the paranormal investigators where they can start at and where they may find the most activity. And it's been pretty successful for me anyway, to do it in that manner. And I just love it. And like I said before, I'm not going to lie to you, man. I'm 62 years old, man. I want to be in bed before midnight. You know, I want my cookies and milk, and you know, I want to be home. You know,
come on, come on. You're 62 young, Tim. Come on, 62. You're young. You're 50. Yeah, you're the new 50, right? Come on.
Yeah. I wish my body felt that way. It's funny. I retired a few years ago, and you know, a lot of the people I work with, and if anybody ever reads my Facebook, I'm forever like taking pictures of my feet, going, "These are retired feet, guys. Enjoy." But they can't believe the amount of what I do, because I'm on the road a lot, and I volunteer for a local little cable service. I produce direct camera, whatever, PA, whatever, for not-for-profits, which I love to do. Yeah. Plus, on top of it, I've got a pretty ambitious paranormal event and talk schedule. So, You know,
let's quickly get it out there a little bit. You know, we'll pump it while you segue into it. Let's do it. You've got a couple Ontario appearances.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. Oh my God, we're going to be up in Niagara Falls. I can't wait for I believe it's Hollow Queen. It's going to be on Queen Street, and we're having a paranormal panel, and they're going to have a witch's ball after it. It's going to be out of hand. I really I love the people up there. Witch Doctor too, our friend, is going to be up there. So anytime he and I get together, you know that there's going to be mischief. Vanessa Hurst is going to be up there. She's great. My buddy Kat from, she has a shop up there. Oh my God, it's going to be great. I cannot wait for it. And then I believe it's the last Saturday of November. It's one of those days of the weekend. I think it's the 30th in November. I'll be up in Fort Erie, Ontario. And that is going to be great. The Southern Ontario Paranormals, I believe, Society. I don't have my papers in front of me, but it's going to be fantastic. I mean, I love this stuff because of the fact I get a chance to go and talk with people and shake hands, and just again, one-on-one, hearing people's stories and learning from people. That's the greatest gift that anybody can give you. I mean. Yeah, okay, yeah, you get a couple bucks here and there, you make it, or, I schlep readings or whatever I'm doing there. But, it's fun. I don't care. And again, we talked off air where I got rid of a manager because I felt he was overpricing me, because I don't believe that, I'm worth that amount of money that they wanted. And I love smaller events. People don't realize, I love huge events, don't get me wrong, but the smaller events is where you really make your contacts, and I get a chance to network out there, and I get a chance to get invited to cool things like, the farmhouses, and you get a chance to go out and look for Bigfoot. I mean, I went down to West Virginia looking for Bigfoot, and we got tree knocks and all this craziness out there. But I got invited to do that. Why? Because I went to smaller events, and I love them. So it's going to be great. I cannot wait. I don't have a weekend off now until the U.S. Thanksgiving. I have that weekend off, and then I'm back on the road and doing events right through the end of November. So it's going to be great. I love this. I thrive for this. I go and I keep telling my wife I hate doing this. I'm not going to do it anymore. And I'm right out there the next year going, oh my God, I can't wait to get out there and do this. Where's my bag? I think I'm going to pack. We're flying out this Thursday to Petrosky, Michigan for Little Traverse Bay Paracon, which is a fantastic event. And I'm actually going out with my buddy Dan Klest, who's the owner of the Hinsdale House, and psychic medium Chelsea Gill. So we're going to have a good time when we're out there. And John Tenney's going to be there, so he's always out there. I love that guy.
He's a mainstay when it comes. He's a mainstay when it comes to Michigan.
Yeah. He lives out there.
I mean, if anybody knows anything about the Michigan paranormal scene, they know John Tenney.
Oh, yeah. Well, Johnny is a good guy. Johnny is pretty intensive. I think his show, Ghost Stalkers, I think they got a raw deal on it, because I really enjoyed that show, because it was great to be able to have, like, John on there, who is very serious and really, reports stuff as it happens in a matter-of-fact way. And then you had, Chad Lindbergh on there, who was just like batshit crazy, I love Chad, by the way. I love him. He's a great guy. But it's so great, to have actually the two of them. And I like shows that have like smaller teams and they do solo work, because solo work takes a lot of balls. I'm not going to lie to you. I never feel comfortable doing solo work unless I'm doing the walkthroughs. But my friend Joe Piari up here, he owns, I'm going to give a shameless plug out there to Paranormal Oddities in Depuny.
Go ahead.
He does all these great lives, and he goes out to these places by himself, and he walks through, and he got something in Palmyra, New York.
Oh,
at,
really?
The Phelps General. And he was there, and there's a woman whose spirit is there by the name of Sybil, and we feel that she was sexually abused by these two guys. I think they're uncles, but she ended up owning the property. And he's going, come on, so come on, let me know, scream, God, and all of a sudden he let me hear the audio tape.
Yeah.
And there is a scream that is so blood-curdling that the hair on my arm stood up. I looked at Joe and said, "You were in there by yourself?" He goes, "Oh, yeah. As a matter of fact, they gave me the keys to lock up." I'm going, you're I could never go back in that house by myself after hearing that. But, I mean, solo work is just so important with what we do because I know myself when I go and do something solo, even though I don't enjoy it as much as having somebody there to share the experience and hold my hand when I'm scared. But I like to. It's so raw. It's just so raw because I won't say it's you against them. I will say it's more of, I believe that they're very, very curious about who you are. And if it's a single person in there, that vibration, they might be able to mesh with that one vibration better than with a team. So I think it's fantastic. I love when people do solos. And I was filming for an internet show on Nick Groff's network, VidiSpace. And I was working a camera, and I would go down with my friend Lynn, and Lynn would do a solo, and I would just kind of tape her. And I got to tell you what, I think we got more activity with just the two of us in one area, one location, than we did when we had like 3 or 4 people there. So I think the less that you have, I think maybe the spirits are kind of. I don't think they're as afraid. Again, they're reading your energy vibration, and I think they're more curious.
I agree. I mean, I have a small team that I've worked with for many years. I've going into locations, I usually do it. Some of the locations that we found, I've gone in by myself, and like you said, it's like, it's you're in the element, and whatever's there can understand what's going on better when you're by yourself. And what happens is incredible. Did you read the book?
Did you ever read the book Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance?
No, I don't think
it's an old. I call it a hippie book. Back from when I was in college, so it's like the 80s, and it was all about this guy who believed that being on a motorcycle was being part of being on a motorcycle by himself going down the road. You were actually part of the scene of what was going on around you, rather than being in a car with other people and being protected by windows, and you were just an observer. And I believe going in as a single person, or like maybe 2 people at the most, I believe that you now become a full-fledged part of the scene, what is going on around you. And I always carried that philosophy with me when it came to this, or spirit rescue or whatever, to go in there and try to go in with as few people as possible. And I have to tell you that I've probably gotten the best evidence and the best personal experiences when it was only maybe 1 or 2 of us. Like if I was in there by myself, or there was one other person in there, it's amazing. It's just truly amazing. And again, I think a lot of it. Again, I'm an energy guy, so I believe a lot of it is because there's not a lot of muddled energy, so there's not a lot of different types of energy in there. And if spirit personalities are energy based, they're going to turn around and they're going to only like sense maybe one person's energy or 2 people's energy, and I think that maybe they're more apt to actually try to interact with you rather than having a lot of people come in. True,
I agree. I completely agree. You're a huge collector of haunted and unusual objects, as you put it. And you know what?
Well, I guess I am.
we have to touch base on this because I find it fascinating. I mean, sure, John Zaffis, obviously, with Ed Lorraine's, huge museum that they had, but you have somewhat of a collection yourself.
Yeah, I do. And you know what? I'll be honest with you. John Zaffis is a great friend of mine. He's a great mentor. Whenever I have a problem with something where I can't figure out how to cleanse it or how to weaken it, to a manageable state, I'll get a hold of him, and he doesn't think twice about giving me suggestions. Mm-hmm. But I was always fascinated by his objects, the objects that he had.
Yeah.
And we got talking one day, and I just thought, wow, this is like an amazing. What you have is amazing, just amazing. Of course, I did share a plane ride back to Detroit with his son Chris, and he goes, "Oh, you've never been to the Haunted Hoarder's house, have you?" I started laughing.
Yeah.
Because he has so much stuff. That's why he's looking for a museum again up there. But he's probably one of the kindest guys that you'll ever run into. Always has time for you. Always has a suggestion for you. But it was funny because be careful. We always say, be careful what you wish for. You may surely get it. And sure enough, people started giving me stuff out of the blue, literally out of the blue. Mm-hmm. And, after they started giving me this stuff that they said was bad, bad luck, we don't feel right with the thing in the house. And ever since then, I get things pieces in the mail. It's crazy. It's just crazy the stuff that I've received. And right now I'm just I outgrew. I keep everything in Foot Lockers in my basement. Mm-hmm. And I've just outgrown my 7th Foot Locker. I'm into Rubbermaid totes now, But I mean, it's amazing the amount of that you accumulate, and it's funny because in many cases I believe it's more psychological, where the people are really something's creeping them out. I have a rain stick here, a short 3-foot rain stick, mm-hmm. and it's got it looks like it's got animal teeth in it, but it's got a few strands of long hair. And I looked at it and I know the difference. I did leather. I worked leather for years. And I know the difference between horsehair and polyester type hair. This is human hair. There's just no doubt about it. Yeah. And it's kind of stuck in there. And it's one of those pieces that they were just freaked out about. And they go, we want to get rid of it. I said, well, I'll take that, Of course, my wife rolls her eyes. I said, yeah, I'll take that. And it's really, it's a nice piece. I really love it. And or up at the Virgin House, there was a doll up there. They call the EVPs. They got the name Sadie with the doll, and I guess somebody has it on film. They videotaped the arm actually moving, mm-hmm. and the owner, like her granddaughter, just hated this thing. It just creeped her out, and it creeped a lot of people out. And she was going to throw it out. Yeah. And Dan Kless at the time, we were up there filming for his internet show Within the Walls. Said, "Oh, don't throw it out. Tim will take it." So I took it, and of course, at 2 a.m. in the morning when we're done taping, I've got this doll seat belted in the front seat with me, and I look over it and said, "I'm just going to tell you one thing: you move or you make a sound, you're out that damn window." But the owner, Kathy, asked me if I've had any problems with her, and I said no. But the reason I don't feel I have any problem is because I genuinely respect and love every piece that I have in my collection. Every single piece, I actually love it. It's a wonderment. I'm like a little kid, at a candy store. Mm-hmm. I do some rituals over them. I cleanse them and make them neutral and that sort of thing. But I've never had a problem with them at all. I think it's because I think they know that they found a home, with me that. At least for my lifetime, they don't have to worry about, getting shuffled around or getting sold or whatever. But anyway, so Kathy asked, she says to me, I just can't believe that Sadie hasn't done anything, because people here, everybody used to come to the house upstairs in the second floor bedroom. They would repeat they would tell us that like weird noises, and they'd hear and like it get cold up there. I said, no, not at all. But you have to understand, Sadie has traveled with me to more places than my wife has. My wife has gone, because I'll take a small collection. I always take Sadie with me. Yeah. And, never have a problem with her. And a funny story, coming through out of a little airport, I'm coming through the airport, and they went through my carry-on, and then I found out they went through my luggage, my check-in. Yeah. And every zipper on this soft thing is just torn apart. All my wonderful underwear that was stuffed in a duffel bag was all over the place. But there was a box in the middle, in the middle of the suitcase, and I had it lightly taped, but it was that type of tape that, you know, if you opened it up, it would it was like duct tape. You know how duct tape is. It would tear the upper layer of cardboard off, and you wouldn't be able to reseal it.
Exactly.
But they never touched it. Wow. Never opened it up. Because I had, and it was funny because I wrote on there, "Do not open haunted objects." Never touched it. Everything else, my medicine, everything else was all over the place, you know. But they never touched it. But yeah, I never had a problem with it. It's been down in the basement. For all this stuff has been down there for years. And as a matter of fact, today I was sorting and remounting stuff and getting ready for a show I'm going to have at the end of October at a place called Dragonfly Studio and Salon. Mm-hmm. Just a one little day show. It's free. I want to put it out there for anybody who wants to go out, come on up. You can find it on my website. But I don't have any problem with it. I really don't. Nothing bothers it. And it was funny because off the air we were talking about my Ouija board collection. I've got about 17 antique boards, but I've got 53 boards now total. I used to have 54, but I left one of the boards up at Hinsdale. And so I have 53 boards here, and I keep them in an old carpenter's wooden chest. You know, it's a rectangular chest, and it's great. It's an old antique. So last interview I was on, I'm talking, all of a sudden I hear bang from the inside of me. I said, "Did you hear that?" I jumped. But every so often you'll get that. But no, you never, I don't get anything out of that. Because again, I think it's the fact that I really enjoy it. I really respect every piece. I only had one piece I had to give away, and that was from Cemetery Number 2 in New Orleans. It was just a little tiny half-inch piece of mortar that was in a pile of rock, and they just used this rock to find the walkways. Yeah, I said that'll look good in my office, so I had it, and I made a little Riker's case with it with photographs of the upright tombs in it. Well, that thing, talk about a bad luck piece. That was just like one thing after another. I ended up breaking my toe with my sneakers on. I just tapped the edge of my desk, and stuff was going on. And I gave it to my buddy Joe 3 days later. He texts me, "Can you take this out?" So I got a hold of Zappos. Johnny said, put it out in the sun for a while. And I know that my friend Dustin Perry was talking about a computer he had trouble with after an investigation. He left out in the sun, and it cleared it right up. So I left it out there. And it did. It cleared it right up. But I felt, as a psychic, if I read the energy, it felt as if it was feminine. And I don't know if it didn't like males or whatever. So a friend of mine, Onyx, has got a shop here in Buffalo, and she's a Strega witch. And I said, "Would you like it?" She goes, "Yeah, I would love it." But the piece itself is on a shelf, and it's near the window, and it always gets bright light and stuff. But I think it's happier there because it's female run. It's a woman that runs the shop, owns the shop, and I think it feels much better there. So, that's the only piece I've ever had a real problem with. Everything else has been, relatively, benign. I mean, I'm looking at, rocks from Gettysburg that, people have sent back. They've collected them, and they get like all these crazy sounds in their houses, like marching and like gun battles, small snippets of gun battles and stuff. They just, you want it, you can have it. I said, yeah, I'll take that. So that's usually my my usual response is, yeah, I'll take that, or I'll give you $20 for that. I got a Ouija board. I got a great Ouija board. It's a 1960s. It's a fold, made in Baltimore. It's a real nice, decent old Ouija board. It's in the box. And there was a medium at one of the events I was at, and she comes up and she shows it to me. And she's telling me that she found it, leaning against her front door. Somebody wanted to get rid of it. Okay. I said, "Listen, I'll give you $20 for it." She goes, "It's sold." I don't know what to do. So when I opened it up, the plancher was coated with salt. So I knew that something must have happened. So, something bad must have been said, or maybe it freaked people out. But salt. So somebody knew what they were doing, but they coated it in salt. So I put the plancher in a little, baggie. And that's in one of my cases now, just so I can, I like to bring these things out and show them the differences of, classic boards and then what may appear to be haunted. So that's another one of my favorite pieces.
I think Alex is a little envious of all the boards that you have.
I am.
Well, I've the earliest one is a fold board from it's either 1919 or 1920. That's the earliest one I have. The rest, a lot of them are all from the 40s. My favorite board, it's a rectangular, it's an upright board. It's called a Swami board, and the planche is actually a finger with like the index finger sticking out. I love that one. Yeah, I get the Egyptian boards. And
Yeah.
I've got a couple Canadian boards I love because they have, they're in English and French.
Yeah.
So yes is we.
Yeah.
I love that. I think those are great.
You
Do
get
know
an
what my
answer.
absolute favorite board is?
You get an answer in French and English.
Yeah, hey, listen. When I cross the border, I'm taking both. I'm taking no chances. But my absolute favorite board with these from the 40s.
What's
it's a board, and you flip it over. It's a checkerboard too, so you can play checkers when you're done contacting spirits.
That's cool. That is cool. Alex, what's your earliest board?
Earliest board was
2012.
No, I had one from my buddy Frank had given me. It was his at one point, and then he just gave it to me. I think he just wanted to get rid of it.
And that you guys
those are the best kind.
I know.
Yeah,
I know.
You guys used it too, right?
Yeah, we did. We used it in the cemetery. We used it at his place. We used it at a bunch of other different places.
The Whitby site?
No,
never.
We didn't use it there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
we did. Like I said,
I love them. I mean, I was brought up as a kid down in Lilydale, and again, officially, you're not supposed to use any tools, so except in seance. The trumpet, a tambourine, or something of that. The chalkboards. But we used like a wine glass, and on a polished table, going back and forth, yes or no answers. Mm-hmm. So that's how far. I mean, I've been using it for that long. Up at Hinsdale for that event, we got Zozo. So the demon, and it's funny because I said, well, say what's your name, and what's my name? Tell me what's my name, and it spelled out Timothy, but it had a couple extra letters in it. So I said, well, right there's a red flag. You don't really, you don't know how to spell my name. And then I said, well, what's your name? And it went XOXO, and I said, no, you ain't loving kisses, baby. Don't be giving me this stuff, And it spelled out. I said, what's your name? It spelled out Zozo, and normally I would just kind of push it a little bit. Not provoke it, but I would push it, because if it answers that quickly, it isn't really a demon. It really isn't. It's probably a parasitical that wants to kind of, it knows how to scare people.
Yeah.
And so it's that's what it probably wanted, and it did. And I'll be honest with you, there were some people there. There was probably 6-8 people around me when we were working with it. And I could feel the tension in the room, and I said, well, we're gonna end this session now, And a lot of people came up to me later on and said, geez, weren't you afraid? I said, no, because it probably wasn't anything it's probably just, a run-of-the-mill lower spirit that just wants to kind of live off of your fear. And they were like, oh, do you get this a lot? I said, well, it depends, Friday nights, maybe, it depends how much I drink. It depends. No, but, I mean, to me, you really got to watch what you're doing. You got to know how to handle it, but you also got to know, it's like that. It's like the song. You got to know when to fold it.
Yeah.
And if things start to get a little amped up where you're not really sure, then the best, safest thing is just to close right down, because in anything that we're doing, it could be EVP work, any kind of contact work. We're actually, my theory is we're creating artificial portals for whenever these vibrations come back and forth. And I'm trained in the way that, any situation, spiritual situation you're in control. You've got free will, so you're in control. You can shut that thing down, or you can keep it going. The problem is if you let this thing keep going and it starts building up a lot of energy and stuff, especially through fear, well, then it's going to be a little bit harder to close that door. Just going and saying the door is shut, we're going to count back from 5, that ain't going to cut it. So you've got to be able to feel that balance. And when things start to get a little hairy, then you just kind of, okay, now you're getting a little crazy. So let's take a timeout, guys, and, you close it. So there's just a lot of caution too that I like to tell people, but also, if you're afraid of it, you're gonna get that kind of a reaction to it. Yeah. And I know they're they were marketed as games. And, oh my God, back in the 40s, these things were, I mean, everybody had one in their houses. You look at the Norman Rockwell painting, the famous painting of the two lovers that were working, that were doing a Ouija board, you know. That's how common they were. And they really didn't get, like, vilified until after, of course, The Exorcist came out. And but there is a lot of negative stuff, that's all part of it. But you have to be able to know when to shut it off and when to keep it going. It's very integral. And that's why I always say to people, you know, if you want to work with a Ouija board, work with somebody that's got experience in it and learn from them. And that's why I teach. As a matter of fact, I do teach a course, a class in Ouija board, you know, how to open it properly, how to close it properly, what to look for if there's something negative coming in, how you're feeling, let your body be the antenna, and see what's coming through, you know, and that's what's so important. It's just so important.
How do people find those classes? Like, talk a little bit about those classes. Like, how do people find those?
Well, if you send me $25.95, I'll send you a list. No, you can go www.timothytshaw.com, and I've got all my. You know, I got all my events and classes up there. Awesome. For years, I didn't work in Western New York, where I live. I worked almost exclusively with CBS. When I was on CBS, my demographics, my fan base actually went from Michigan right through the Bible Belt, which is like crazy. Yeah. But it went through the Bible Belt down in Florida. So I always worked in that area, you know. I taught and spoke out in that area. The last couple of years, I decided that I wanted to work a little bit closer to home. And I started really getting some really great friends here, again, like Joe Piari and Dan Kless. And I mean, really just wonderful people that, you know, love to see. What I love people that are so happy when you're a success. And, you know, they do that for everybody, and I do that for people. I'm just so thrilled with, you know, if somebody gets on TV, I'm like, oh my God, that's fantastic. Oh, that's great, you know. Or they get invited to a conference. I think it's just wonderful. And I mean, when people ask me to help them, I do, you know, and a lot of people go, why are you helping them? Because it cuts into what you do, like gallery work and the style that I use. Listen, go out there. If you're going to do it, let me help you, you know, and I don't mind that. But the classes I started up here like 3 years ago, and they've just grown ever since. And again, I mean, I'll be busy here right up until the end of November, and then January I'm going to start something called the Cabin Fever Lecture Series, where I'm going to go to like 3 or 4 different shops in this area, and I'm just going to present, you know, and do lectures and do classes and just have fun through the winter. And the one thing that
we all know what the weather, we all know what the winter is like in and around Western New York, right?
Yes, that's why we call it the Cabin Fever Lecture Series. As a matter of fact, I had a sellout. I had a sellout at one of the shops, and it snowed so badly. And I was out there helping shovel the parking lot. Do you know only one person didn't show up that night? That was fun. That was insane. But the other thing is that I don't charge an arm and a leg. I don't, because I'll be totally honest with you. I was blessed. I retired after 34 and a half years. I have a New York State pension. I just started collecting Social Security. I'm blessed. So I don't believe in making this my livelihood. When I was a kid in Lilydale, I had on the Maplewood Hotel, there's a Victorian like wraparound porch, and back in the day, I mean, kids were not allowed up there on Friday, Saturday nights. They had these rocking chairs, and all these old timers used to sit up there, and we used to sit like listening to what they were talking about. And this one old guy looked at me one day and said, listen, what you're learning here is to be an addition to your life. It's not to be your life, which means go out and get a job, work, you know, don't use this as your livelihood. And I don't get down on anybody that uses it as their livelihood, of course, but I don't, because of what he told me. And again, I've been blessed. So my classes range between $20 and $25. That's and I try to make it affordable for everybody. And if somebody can't afford it, I don't even care. Come on in. Just come on in. That's the way I am.
That's awesome.
Awesome. But but it's fun. It's not just, I just don't do it for the money. I like having fun. I like sharing the knowledge. Who knows? I mean, I've got 6 books out. I think there's 2 still in print. I've got 2 sitting here that I haven't finished. They're basically finished, but I haven't edited them out yet and got photos for them.
Uh-huh.
But what happens when I go? What happens when I pass from this world? This information is gone.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things, like my dad died at 65. I wish I could have like an hour with him so I could pepper him with 1,001 questions, because he used to be able to tell me, who so-and-so's Indian spirit guide was, and all this stuff that is lost now. So for me to go and show somebody and work with people to learn something, to whatever it is, from witchcraft or to scrying to spiritualism to mediumship, whatever it is, I love sharing it. I do. I think it's the greatest gift that I can give back to people. And it's the same thing with my volunteerism at the cable company. I'm a firm believer in helping not-for-profits and going out there. And I just believe that we should give, a little something back. It doesn't have to be. And that's something that people don't understand, because I believe gestures are important. And we're all put on this earth for something, for various reasons. And I've had some... I've had some really nasty stuff that I was prepared for, and I was able. My father passed away. I helped take the remains out of the house. Didn't think twice about it. I worked in a hospital. we had a relative that fell downstairs, had a 6-foot blood pool. I cleaned up. Because I used to clean ORs at a hospital and stuff. So I mean, you're always prepared for this stuff, and those are grand gestures. But you know what? Sometimes just opening a door for a little old lady going into a restaurant, that is a grand gesture too. And I feel that, helping and sharing this type of spirituality and sharing this stuff, all part of modern mysticism and mythology. And here in our generations, everything old is like garbage. Let's tear it down and get rid of it and put something else new up there.
Yeah,
and we've lost so much, and that's why I believe in putting down urban legends and myths and all sorts of craziness that other people may just kind of discard, but we save it for somebody, and maybe even if it's an oral tradition, we'll pass it on, because we don't know. I mean, people don't realize how much information that we've lost in the past 10 years. Never mind decades and lifetimes.
And you sit there and you go, "This is how it was." Years ago.
Exactly.
I mean, we would not have a history. We would not have myths or legends if it wasn't for these stories that were passed down. Word of mouth. It is so important, as you put it. In this day and age, we have the internet, we have this, we have that, cell phones, mobiles, whatever. But you know what? Word of mouth. I mean, I totally agree with you, Tim. I mean, that's so important, even in this day and age.
And then there's something else. Can I touch on one thing? Can I get on my soapbox?
Yep.
Well, you know what? A dear friend of mine passed away this year.
Yes.
Rosemary Ellen Guiley.
Yes.
And I've had some really bad health issues in the last like 10, 11 years. And I was getting beat up locally, in the paranormal circles, and I was sick and I just felt terrible, So I was actually going to leave the paranormal. I was going to leave everything and just, collect stamps. I don't know what I was going to do.
Cool.
But I had talked to Johnny Zaffis, and Johnny must have talked to her, and she was a tough New England broad, but she was a great person. And she came up and she goes, "Tim, no. You've got to stay. You've got to either be a teacher, you've got to stay, because we can't afford to lose any more people who are dedicated to what we do." And I thought that was like, for her to take the time to talk to me. I mean, that was Rosemary Ellen Guiley. I mean, she's just unbelievable.
Everybody knows who she is. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you know what? This has been my cause. Yeah. And I know it's silly, but I feel that more women should step into her ranks. I mean, she had her own publishing company. She had podcasts. She spoke on all sorts of different subjects. She was so renowned. She would go, she would just like, if somebody invite her on a Bigfoot hunt, there she would be. She would be out there, all like 5'3" of her, stomping off in the woods with the rest of us. But I want to encourage all the ladies out there that are interested in the paranormal to do something like that. Don't be a one-trick pony. Find that childlike excitement and interest that we've all lost as we've grown up. Get out there and learn stuff. Learn everything you can in all sorts of different modalities, and try to walk in her shoes. I want people to get out there, because there's, the paranormal world that we know, the media world that we know, for the most part, except for the radio is very good, and podcasts, there's a lot of ladies out there doing it. But the other media out there, it's just being populated by men. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think there's a women in the paranormal and in the metaphysical communities. They should step up, and they should really take the bull by the horns and be part of it, and take Ro as as your inspiration. I mean, she's a great inspiration to me, as she is to a lot of people. But really use her as an inspiration. Let in the Chian philosophy, of course, you have the Uberman and the Underman, the whole thing. Be the Uberman, be the Uberwoman, be that person like Rosemary Ellen Guiley. So I'll step off my soapbox for now. No,
that's cool, and thank you for sharing that, Tim. That was awesome. We're almost out of time here. Throw out everything you need to throw out for people to find you, what's coming up. Do it, man. Just throw it all out there.
Oh, man, I don't even... I have so much... Dude, I got so much going on right now. It's insane. It's totally insane. Well, this weekend, I'm going to be up at... where the hell am I going to be? Oh, I'm going to be up at Little Travis Bay, Parafest up there, which is going to be really going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for it. I've been wanting to go up there for the longest time, and that's going to be, again, we're going to go up there, and I'm going to be speaking on Ouija boards, as a matter of fact. I'm going to have an open message gallery for a lot of you guys up in Ontario and Canada. You guys call it platform work, up at Dragonfly Studios in Williamsville, New York. Then, of course, the 10th and 9th, October 19th is the Niagara Falls Horror Queen festivities up there in Niagara Falls, Canada. Then on the 20th, I'll be at the Buffalo, New York Statler Hilton. Then the 25th, I'll have some Ouija fun at the Dragonfly Studios. Then I'm going to have Tim Shaw's Photo and Haunted Stuff show at Dragonfly on the 26th. On the 9th, I'm going to be, November 9th, I'm going to be at Old Mill Paracon in Michigan. And then on the 30th, I'm going to be at the Southern Ontario Para Conference in Fort Erie, Canada. And in between there, I'm going to be at Paranormal Oddities doing different things along the way. And if anybody wants to see me look like a goof, which I know I'm going to come off as, this Tuesday at 10 o'clock on the Travel Channel, I'm on an episode with the Virgin House. And you guys can all laugh at me, and I'm going to let you guys in on a secret. It's reality show, people. It's entertainment. But the information, what I'm trying to say is right. But there'll be a part where I'm going up the stairs, and it looks like I got hit in the gut trying to get up the stairs. Well, it's not so much I got hit in the gut, but I slipped on the stair. I went down a little bit. My sneaker fell off and almost hit the cameraman at the bottom of the stairs. And the director said, "Fantastic. Okay, move on." so that's a part of it. But the Virgin House is a unique place, and they've had not only paranormal stuff there, but Kathy, who I've interviewed, one of the owners of the house, interviewed her in depth. They had a Mothman creature out there several times.
Oh, wow. And
one time it hit the chimney of the house, and actually, they had to have the chimney repaired. So it hit it that bad and that hard. But it's surrounded by a primordial swamp. They excavated the bones of, I believe, of a mastodon in there, and it's It's kind of an amazing place. So if you guys want to see my baldness and my beauty, tune in Tuesday on the Travel Channel.
I don't know if I can handle all this baldness here. Okay, there's too much baldness going on here.
Listen, my hair. I used to have a ponytail.
Yeah.
And back in '96, one day I looked at it and said, "It's a thread. What am I doing?" So I just cut the whole thing off. What am I doing? Who am I kidding? I got no hair. There's no hair up there. Let's just get rid of it all.
Alex, do you still have your thread?
I do. It's one thread.
That's you just get to that point where it goes from a nice thick ponytail to like something that we used to wear in the 90s.
Oh.
I'm dating myself though.
Tim, I you know what? I want to thank you again. It's been a blast, and I you know what? I know we'd love to have you back on the show. Definitely.
Anytime. I love you guys. Really, seriously, I enjoyed the show. It's an honor to be here. People don't realize what an honor it is for, like guys like yourselves who are actually out there in the field. You're doing the work, and to take the time to interview me. So I think it's fantastic. So thank you guys again. It means a lot that you guys, offered me, a couple expired pizza coupons and a half-drank beer to come on your show.
Yeah, well, hey, don't let those coupons expire, okay? Come on, whatever you do, don't let them expire.
Oh, two lap dances at a place that's gone,
and I'll definitely throw you that farmhouse. We'll keep in touch.
Definitely, yeah, definitely.
All right.
I'd be greatly interested. To to come out and experience it.
There you go, buddy. Take care, and thank you again so much.
Thank you, guys, and Alex, may I say that you have a beautiful hairline, baby?
I do. Thank you very much.
Take care, Tim.
Take care. Thank you again. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Alex, I think we lost you, Alex. We lost Alex. We're bringing him back on. I want to thank Tim Shaw. Hey, Alex.
Hey.
We lost you. I don't know what it was. It's the good old Skype thing.
Yeah.
Great time, folks. Go take a look at Tim Shaw's website again. www.timothyshaw.com for everything that's going on, what he's up to, his classes, his books, his items that he collects. I mean, like he was talking about, what he said, 50 odd different Ouija boards.
Yeah, something like that. That's crazy.
And how many do you have?
3.
3. I mean, well, you got a lot of catching up to do, buddy.
I do, apparently.
But yeah, super guy. Really, really, really enjoyed the having him on the show. Fascinating guy. I mean, he's done a lot of stuff.
He has. Yeah, for sure.
I mean, what did you enjoy the most? I mean, about what he shared, like beside the Ouija board stuff.
Well, just the whole thing, even being raised. That was a more curious thing for me, about being raised Roman Catholic, but then also being involved in the spiritualist movement.
Yeah,
because usually the two of them don't go hand in hand.
No, they don't. But I like how he's so down to earth about everything.
Yeah, for
sure. And I hate it when people who get a whiff of a little bit of success or whatever else, and it totally goes to their head. Where Tim has kept it level, and I really, really, I think out of everything, respect that about him, how he's kept everything to a totally level-headed thing. He keeps tabs on the whole grassroots approach to the paranormal, and how he approaches everybody else. It's really, really cool that he is that way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's awesome. God, we're almost out of time here. I want to thank Tim again for coming on, and again, definitely would love to have him back on the show.
Yeah, for sure.
Once again, check out his website, timothyshaw.com is where you can get all the information about his events, books, everything. Check it out. One last thing. Anything else unusual happen at Highgate while you were there?
No, unfortunately not.
Nothing. Was there something?
Nothing, unfortunately.
What stuck out the most about that place when you were there visiting it?
Just, it's hard to explain. I mean, it was just one of those things that kind of felt surreal. You know, it's like to be in a cemetery that's like over 300 years old in and of itself is surreal.
And the people that are buried there, I mean, the famous people.
Yeah, like Karl Marx.
Marx, you know?
George Michael.
Yeah. You know? Wait, who's that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Who's George Michael?
Who knows? Some stranger.
But yeah, I mean, the history and the intrigue, and of course, the insight that we know about from, you know, a dear friend of ours, his experiences there, and others that have experienced stuff in there. You know, wow, I'm envious, man. You got to set, you know, foot in there, and I haven't.
That's right.
Yet. Yeah.
That's okay. Maybe you'll get a chance one day.
Yeah, soon. Anyways, that's about it. I want to thank you once again, Tim Shaw, for joining us this evening. Thank you all for tuning in. Well, we're off next weekend because it's Thanksgiving weekend, right?
It is.
Yeah, so we won't be broadcasting next weekend, but we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we will have what's going on posted on our Facebook group. So keep an eye on the Facebook group for more on that. That's, again, in 2 weeks. Next week, the Canadian Thanksgiving. And, we'll be broadcasting during the American one. No, I don't know. We'll see what happens. Anyways, take care, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Good night,
everyone.
You've listened to Nocturnal Frequency Radio here live exclusively on the New Visions Radio Network. Good night, everyone.
Good night.
You are listening to Nocturnal Frequency Radio, hosted by Steve Jenny and his satanic assistant, Alex Fontini, both of whom can't go into churches without vomiting.
You've tuned into Nocturnal Frequency Radio with your hosts,